TG Geeks, episode 270, April 20th, 2020. Tales of Twisted Time Travel. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. And I am Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely quarantined Phoenix, Arizona on this lovely 420.
And I am Ben Raggington, coming to you from wherever I am. I'm exiled for the good of the realm. Yes, here in Phoenix, Arizona.
And let's get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, in this episode, we are going to talk to Jonas Chernick. He is the writer and stars in James versus His Future Self, which is a new film that's about to be released. It's been released in Canada, but about to be released here in the U.S. You can pre-order on iTunes. We talked to him about that film and how he made it and all that kind of neat stuff. We got birthday shout-outs, featured podcast of the week, and feedback and our regular shout-outs. In the second segment, if we have time, we're going to talk about something that we did on Friday night. Then we have our weekly recap and our regular shout-outs. So are you ready to get on with this?
I'm so ready.
Okay. And this time we welcome to the show Jonas Chernick, actor, writer, and producer of a film that is soon to be released in the United States, but is available in Canada. Welcome to the show, Jonas.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, so your film is James and His Future Self. What it was?
James versus His Future Self.
Versus... I thought it was James and His Future self.
Well, you were close. You were close.
Well, that changes the entire intent of the film.
Exactly.
Now we have a David Gerald
story. Exactly.
Then it turns to a David Gerald time travel story, and we don't want that.
Yeah. Well, it is. Well, we'll let Jason.
Jonas.
Good God. I've got Jason on the brain here. Sorry about that. We'll let Jonas.
It's fine, really, guys. I get that. I've been getting that my whole life.
People don't know how to spell my name either, so don't worry. Anyway, tell us about yourself and how you kind of got into, obviously, you wrote this.
Yeah.
And you are acting in it as well as producer. So tell us about you and how that all kind of came together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll give you the short version of it. One day I'll write the memoir and you get all the dirty details.
Ooh, the 700-page tome.
That's right. I was born in the town of Winnipeg, Canada. I guess it's a city. I was born I'm from Winnipeg, Canada, which is right in the middle of Canada, dead center, just north of, Fargo, Omaha, kind of up that line. And it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And so as a result, this is a city that has a really incredible cultural landscape, world-renowned theater and filmmakers and musicians, and could rifle them off, and you'd know a few of them. But it really kind of, growing up there, it's so cold and kind of desolate that you're forced to kind of nurture your artistic leanings. And so from an early age, I was just a performer. I was just an actor. And, I would whenever we'd have family dinners, I would drag a cousin off and teach them a play, and then we'd perform it in the living room. And eventually my parents got annoyed by me and said, "Let's put him in an acting class." So I was doing weekends and after
shuffle him off to a school.
Exactly. And that stayed with me, and I was always a storyteller and really obsessed with movies and growing up, and couldn't wait to get to university to study film and cinema and drama and theater, and I did all of that, and then I started. Yeah, I'm a thespian, and then I started acting professionally in theater and in movies. A lot of movies film in Winnipeg, believe it or not. And I was getting a lot of jobs there and really enjoying it. And eventually I moved to Toronto, which is where I've been living for the last 20 years. And kind of this is where my filmmaking career has sort of blossomed. And I've made 5 films. And
oh, wow.
This one that's coming out now is my latest.
Toronto, known as Northeast Hollywood.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And Northwest Hollywood is Vancouver.
That's right. And Central North Hollywood is Winnipeg.
Yeah, exactly. Trust me, I know about the cold. I was forced to go to North Dakota in February here a number of years ago. And it was like, really? I live in Phoenix, Arizona. You're sending me to the coldest part of the world?
Oh,
jeez.
I mean, I don't know if it's the coldest part of the world.
Well, I mean, it was to me anyway.
Yeah.
Anything below 40.
Yeah, I was there, and it was like 18 degrees, and the folks that I was there to teach software to them, how to use some software, and they said, "Oh, you should have been here last week. It was negative 36." And I said, "No, thank you." And it was fine if I was just out there. I actually walked from the hotel out to the car, which was right outside the door once, to get something with just a shirt on, and it was fine. And the next time I did it, the wind was blowing. I thought I was going to freeze to death before I ever got to the car.
Yeah, it's not right. It feels very wrong to be in that kind of climate, and which is one of the reasons why in my mid-20s I left and I went to Toronto, which it's not Phoenix, but
a little more temperate.
But your nose hairs don't freeze when you go outside in the winter.
Exactly. Wow.
That's an image.
Yeah. So we digress there. The other 5 films, or the other 4 films, I assume that there's 4 plus this one. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, those are films that just to be clear, that I wrote and then produced and starred in. I've done dozens of other films that I didn't write or produce. But,
right. That was my question. Did you write those other films?
Yeah.
Cool.
It takes me about 3 to 4 years to get a movie made from the conception, from the idea to releasing it into the world. And I'm not the kind of guy that has 25 ideas in my head at once. I always have kind of one idea that I think is worthy of being a movie, and I'm kind of developing it one at a time. So, but yeah, I've made 5 films that I wrote, and they're like my 5 babies, my 5 children.
Absolutely. Which is your favorite? No, I'm not going to ask that.
Pick a favorite child.
Exactly. That's my favorite child.
And out of all the movies I made, these are the few that I can completely axe. Yes, let's play a game of Sophie's Choice here.
Anyway, so tell us about James versus his future self. Tell us about that film, because it really sounds fascinating. I don't want to give too much away. I'm going to let you do that, because I don't want, in case in the publicity materials that we got that there were some spoilers or something. I'll let you do that yourself.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I got it down by now. So James versus his future self is a comedy. It's sort of a science fiction comedy, although it's much more of a romantic comedy than a science fiction comedy. And I play James, a scientist who's been obsessed his whole life with becoming the world's first time traveler. And just as I'm about to make this sort of seminal discovery, I get kidnapped by an aggressive, kind of crazy, wild, older man who is myself from the future, who has come back to stop me from taking the job on Friday. He says, if you do take that job, yes, you will become the world's first time traveler, but you'll also ruin your life. You'll be miserable and depressed and unhinged like me. So I've come to stop you. And of course that just gets me excited. Oh my God, I guess I'm really going to do this. And so the movie is essentially this battle between man and himself. It's funny, and it's also very warm-hearted and sweet-natured, and there's a love story involved. And the great Daniel Stern, who we all kind of grew up watching in movies like Home Alone and City Slickers and Diner, Hannah and Her Sisters, he plays me from the future.
Oh dear!
And he gives this sort of great performance. It's already won an award up in Canada at the Toronto After Dark Film Festival, and he's currently nominated for a Canadian Academy Award.
Wow!
For Best Supporting Actor.
Nice. So before we go off on talking more about this movie, how did you snag that guy?
We have some photographs of him in some very compromised.
I see. That always helps, doesn't it?
So those lingerie pictures I leaked worked. Yay!
I'd love to see him in lingerie pictures. No, it's really not that exciting. We offered him the part, and to be fair, we really worked hard we worked a long time on writing this character. We wanted to make sure that when he got the script and he read it, he couldn't say no. We wanted this character to be that good.
Oh, wow.
And so we spent years kind of tooling this character to make it appealing to him, and it worked.
That's great. So when did you start filming, and how long did it take you to film, and when did it, I assume it went on the film festival circuit, as you said, After Dark, but I'm sure you did a ton of other film festivals.
Yeah.
So tell us about the
did.
journey of the film from beginning to end, shall we say?
Yeah, sure. So we shot the film in May of 2018. So 2 years ago was when we shot it. And then it took about 8 to 10 months to finish the movie. It was all done, about a year ago. And then we sat on it a little bit because we wanted to premiere properly. And so it started playing the festivals in September of 2019. And we played all the main festivals, cities in Canada. And we won some awards, and we got some accolades, and we got these great reviews. And then we had our U.S. premiere at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival just a couple months ago in January. Great festival, by the way. If you guys have never been, check it out. And then since then, we had our European premiere last month at the Glasgow Film Festival in Scotland, where it was a huge hit. And we played about 20 film festivals, and it's been a fun ride. I've got to see the film. I like to watch the movie with an audience. I like to see how an audience reacts.
Right. You know? We were just talking with some folks about the state of film festivals now, and that was discussed, and how some films are really
they work better in a group.
They're a community experience. And I know that filmmakers like to see the reaction to their films, and that's the nice thing.
That's another good thing, because in fact, it'd be nice to kind of get your maybe a quick little take on that. I suppose you really appreciated the fact that you had a live audience, because with film studio, or at least with film festivals, kind of going to the online circuit now, it kind of makes it. I think it makes it a little bit difficult for people like you to get that immediate feedback as to how is the movie being received.
Well, yeah, that's the only way that I can see that, and I know I come from the theater. I mean, that's where I started. But before I even knew that I could be a film actor living in Winnipeg, Canada, I thought that theater was going to be my bag. So I come from that tradition of having an immediate reaction and having a conversation essentially with the audience, and it's that adrenaline and that rush and that thrill that initially inspired me as an actor. And so for me, sitting in a movie theater with an audience responding to the movie, that is the payoff. That's the reward for all the hard work. Mm-hmm. And so without film festivals, that becomes almost impossible. And so I've traveled the world with my films. I've been to almost every continent on planet Earth to watch my films with these audiences, and it's It's one of the greatest joys of my life.
Did you do the Antarctic
Yeah, I was going to say, it's called the Penguin Film Festival.
Yeah, no, there are 19 people, on Antarctica, and they were very happy to have me, and it went well. And you think North Dakota's cold?
Oh my God! Whoa.
Okay. So I'm fascinated with this story. Now, obviously, you're not taking a very hard sci-fi approach to this, correct?
Well, it's funny when you say hard sci-fi, because my understanding of the term hard sci-fi versus soft sci-fi, that hard sci-fi means sci-fi based in actual science, something that could be, could legitimately, theoretically, feels very real. And I like to think that in fact the time travel that we present in this movie is hard sci-fi. We had a consultant on the film, a man by the name of Peter Krieger, one of the world's leading particle physicists, and he helped us make sure that the science in the movie is as real as it could be given the circumstances. So I like to think it is hard sci-fi, but it's not the focus of the movie.
Right.
That's maybe what you meant about going to hard
Yeah,
sci-fi.
because I know that, like when I first read about this, the first thought that ran through my head was grandfather paradox.
Yeah, well, and we addressed that, in the movie. I don't want to give that away, because I think that's one of the delights of the film, is
right.
that essentially, if you're going back in time to stop yourself from ever inventing time travel in the first place, you are looking at a paradox. But
right.
we present a response to that, or a theory about that, or an answer to that I think it gets me excited. It gets my geek nerves tingling. Like it's exciting still to me, even having been with it for a few years. So I hope you'll check it out, even just to see what we do with that.
Well,
So
now I'm very curious.
That
yes.
would be the step-grandfather unparadox then.
What? You just made that up.
No.
No?
It's a fact.
No, thank you.
Anyway, that it really, I think when I think of hard sci-fi, and it's not necessarily the entire story is hard sci-fi, but the science in a film needs to be at least,
It has to have some logical grounding to it, I think.
or there's some explanation for why it's, goofy the way it is. And if that's the thing, if it's a parody, or it's an out and out comedy, or there's a lot of things that you can do to play with the sci-fi element in a film that makes it enjoyable. But when somebody bills themselves as a sci-fi film and the science doesn't stand up, it irritates me.
Yeah, we've seen way too many of those.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm a big stickler for that as well. And what got me excited about this in the first place, when I started to kind of hatch the idea, it came from I dug really deep. I did a deep dive into the Large Hadron Collider.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you guys are familiar
yes.
with the LHC.
Yes.
So when I remember first hearing about the LHC, I was late to the party on that, and then reading about how they were shooting these particles towards each other at an alarming rates and smashing them into each other to basically replicate the creation of the universe. I thought, what? They're doing that, and it's this gigantic 27-kilometer long tube that they're like. It's
Right.
just mind blowing. And I thought, if ever there was going to be a ripple through space and time, or some opening of the door to that relationship between space and time, it's got to happen down there.
Exactly.
And so that's a big part of the movie too.
Yeah. Well, we just, a couple of days ago, we rewatched The Elegant Universe by Brian Greene, which, that's outdated by 15 years now, but it's still really good on talking about particle physics and quantum mechanics and all of these things.
String theory.
And actually, Amanda Peet, she was University of Toronto. She's famous in this Elegant Universe for saying people think we're crackpots and bananas.
I hope she's not listening now.
Anyway, that's just kind of I digress again.
Yes. Now,
leave it to me to go off on the tangent.
So, going back to this film, I'm really curious, where did this idea come from? I mean, I'm not going to say that it's a unique idea, because it has been talked about. I know that David Gerald wrote a book on it called The Man Who Folded Himself. So, where did you come up? You know, what was going on that all of a sudden this idea just sparked into your brain?
You know, it's been one of these ideas that's been gestating for a long time. I think the first time I thought of it was when I was 19. I put on a backpack and I went to Europe, and I did the thing that we all do, and we say we're going to find ourselves. And I remember being on the train in France or something and thinking, well, I haven't found myself yet. And then I thought, well, what if I literally found myself? And I started to imagine, maybe a one-act play where, a kid stumbles into a cafe in Belgium and ends up finding himself and has a conversation with himself. And what would that be like? And what would you ask yourself? And what would you want to know? What wouldn't you want to know? And that stayed with me for decades, really. And then I got into time travel stuff in my 20s and really thought, I have to tell a time travel story. But I couldn't figure out what my time travel story was going to be. And then in 2004, I saw the movie Primer. I saw it at the Toronto International Film Festival. And this is the smartest time travel movie, I think, ever made. And I walked out of the theater and I probably said it aloud. Well, there goes my time travel movie. I could never compete with this. It's not possible. So I put it away. I put the thought away for about another 10 years. And then it came back, and I realized that my time travel story isn't about wowing the audience with my brilliant science. My time travel story uses time as a device to explore character. And my time travel story is going to be more Back to the Future than it is Primer. Right. And then I realized, I want to write a comedy. I want to write a coming of age story where time travel is kind of in the background.
It's a plot device.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with plot devices.
No, as long as they're served well.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like to think I serve it well, and I'll let you be the judge of that. And but it's interesting that I ended up not making the time travel movie that I thought I was going to write. I ended up writing something totally different, but I couldn't be more proud of what it is.
That kind of brings me to the question that I love to ask writers. Now, so regarding the characters that are in this film, and of course you're the character. You are James.
Yeah.
When writing these characters and fleshing them out, first, how alive did they come to you in your brain? I mean, did they come to the point where they started to have a voice of their own? Because as you said, you were developing this for some time. Did they actually start to come alive, especially future James? I mean, how alive were they? And did they start to determine the direction of where your story was going to go?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's the way that I write. When I feel like I'm in the groove and I know the characters, then they are essentially writing themselves. I have to know what's going to happen when I'm writing. I have to know story-wise where I'm going. But as far as the characters, how they speak, what they say, and sometimes they make surprising choices. I'll be writing a scene and I think I know where it's going. And then one of my characters will suddenly make a choice that is completely the opposite of what I thought they were going to make. And it's really interesting, and it comes through me, and I often those are the best moments, because if I'm surprised by the character, then certainly the audience is going to be surprised by where they're going, what they're saying. And but probably the most interesting part of the process as a writer-actor is that I write these characters for myself to play, and I know from the beginning that I'm going to be playing that character. And yet, when there always comes a point in the process where I'm finished writing and we're moving into production, I take off my writer hat and I put on my actor hat, and I read the script for the first time as an actor, not as a writer. And it's like I am reading a brand new script. Wow. I find things, often huge mistakes. Oh God, why would they write this? This
the infamous
doesn't make any sense. Like, why would he do that? He wouldn't. So then I get to come back to the script and make changes based on my notes as an actor, and I find that a very sort of schizophrenic experience, and it never ceases to fascinate me. It happens every time.
Yeah, that is fascinating.
That could well. First, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of this conversation because we're running out of time. But second, I wish we had more time because I think there's a lot that can be said about therapy regarding all of this. But because we're running up against the clock, let me ask you this. First, where can people learn more about what you're working on? Any social media presence, be it a website or Facebook, Twitter? How can people learn more about what you are doing?
So I'm on Twitter at Jonas Chernick, and I have a website, jonaszernick.com, that always has updates about what's going on and what I'm working on next, and awards, festivals, all that stuff is on there. And you can find out more about the film by tuning into. Well, in Canada, the film is already out. It's on iTunes and video on demand streaming, and it's going to be premiering in the United States on May 1st. If theaters are open on May 1st, it'll be in theaters, and if not, it'll be on iTunes and VOD there too, digital and streaming. And in the UK, we drop on Sky TV on April 27th. So check that out if you're in the United Kingdom.
That's great. Well, this has been a fascinating conversation.
Oh, it's been very enjoyable.
Yes. And thank you for being on the show today, Jonas.
Thanks for having me. It was a real pleasure, and I hope we get to talk again someday.
Yeah.
I'm Lizzie.
I'm Eric.
That's not right.
One brain.
We're Cheshire Moon.
And you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
Turn that down before I start talking. Silly me. It's like I've never done this before.
It's amazing what quarantine does for you.
Exactly. That was really fascinating.
It was a great conversation with Jonas. I liked him immediately. He's one of these guests that is just so eager to talk.
Yeah.
And I will add that Keith and I have already seen the movie, and my review for James versus his future self will be coming out on our website at tggeeks.com on April 30th.
April 30th? Well, I thought you were doing it tomorrow.
No, it comes out because it's coming out the day before the movie releases.
I see. Okay. Well, anyway, here's a few selected birthdays for April 20th through April 26th, 2020. April 20th, Andy Serkis.
And his precious.
Yes. His actor best known for Gollum, and also played Caesar in the Planet of the Apes series, a couple of movies.
And he was also King Kong in Peter Jackson's rendition of the movie, King Kong. He's also become quite a good director.
Yes, he has. It actually was disqualified for Academy Awards because both Gollum and Caesar were computer generated.
Despite the fact that it was all motion tracked.
It was all motion capture, exactly.
I know, it's so not fair.
And owns one of two of the prop rings from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, very nice. Well, of course, it's his precious.
Yes. And his Gollum sound was patterned on
his
cats hurling.
With furball.
Yep. Crispin Glover, actor George McFly. He was in Willard. Is a writer of peculiar Victorian stories with macabre illustrations.
He's a very bizarre fellow to begin with.
Mostly published through his family press.
He is a very unusual character.
Yes.
I don't know if it's available on YouTube, but he did an appearance on David Letterman that was so bizarre that Letterman walked off the set.
Yep. George Takei.
Oh, I love this man.
Most known for Hikaru Sulu in original series Star Trek. His play Allegiance is about his time, or inspired by his time spent in a Japanese internment camp with his parents.
And I believe you can order it on DVD now.
Oh, wow.
I think so.
We'll have to do that. And we have a photo of him on our wall that we're looking at right now.
He's an extremely nice man. I remember when we saw him at Fan Fusion. God, I don't know what the name of the. I think it was Fan
Phoenix
Fusion.
Comic-Con.
Well, yeah, we call it Phoenix Comic-Con,
today.
whatever you want to call it. We mentioned Allegiance, and he was more than happy
just
to talk.
lit up and talk about it. Oh
because
my
that's
gosh.
his big passion right now.
Yep.
Is justice for the Japanese Americans who served in the internment camps.
He's an out gay man, obviously, living with his husband, Brad, in Hollywood or in Los Angeles. And he is one of only 3 actors to have worn all 3 uniform colors in Star Trek.
All 3?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He did wear the red suit in the episode Mirror, Mirror.
Exactly. And Robert Duncan McNeil and Robert Picardo are the other 2 actors that have worn all 3 colors.
Huh. I'd have to... Okay,
Yeah. That's the trivia.
Okay, I need to examine that trivia. I'm not doubting it. I'm just like, I need some reminding as to the other 2.
Yeah.
When did they wear the other colors?
Yeah, I didn't look that up. And then we have Clint Howard, another Star Trek original series
Baylock.
veteran. Baylock. Tranya in the Corbomite maneuver. A regular working actor. He has 252 credits.
You know, I remember
Regular character actor.
Yeah, I remember watching him in the TV series Gentle Ben about a boy who, for his best friend, was a grizzly bear.
Yep.
And he actually appeared in some other genre programming that we had watched that he did not get credit for either.
DS9 and Enterprise. What was it? The Enterprise episode that he was... I seem to remember that he was kind of a less than savory character in a bar. Was that on Enterprise?
Probably was.
It was. I think it was the Enterprise episode where during the Time War-ish episodes. Anyway. Tito Puente, musician, dance-oriented, mambo, Latin, jazz music. His famous song "Oye Como Va" was actually covered by lots
Santana.
of different people.
Santana made
Santana,
it. They really made it big.
Exactly. And then we have Facebook friend Alexander Runberg, who is a filmmaker. The April 21st. QE2.
The ship.
Not the ship.
Not the ship?
Queen Elizabeth
Oh.
II. She's 93.
Good heavens.
Longest reigning British monarch. Longest serving female head of state.
Good for her.
And oldest living monarch and longest serving current head of state. Wow.
She's been quite the statesman, especially during these quarantine days. She's been really visible during
a wonderful
speech.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Just a week or so ago for the people of the United Kingdom during this entire quarantine time. And it got a lot of love from everybody who saw it.
Yep, exactly. Iggy Pop.
You know, we just saw him in an episode of Deep Space Nine. He was so under makeup, but we did just see him.
Musician. And
Wild Man.
An anonymous IMDb author wrote a biography as legendary rock and roll wild man and substance abuser.
Oh, big time. I mean, the man looks like he it's heroin chic is all I can say.
Said to be the father of punk rock.
I believe it.
Started calling himself Iggy after his high school band, the Iguanas.
Oh, of course.
Plays left-handed. And the Stooges were idolized, which was his other band, by the Ramones and Sex Pistols, even though they were not a commercial success. That's what made them huge.
Very well, then.
Worked with Bowie, obviously. Then we have John Muir, naturalist, known as the father of national parks, advocated for the preservation of wilderness, co-founder of the Sierra Club, instrumental in establishing Yosemite in 1890 and then Sequoia National Parks later. He died in 1914.
Good grief.
I mean, wow, long years ago. Tony Danza.
There's a song about him.
Actor, Taxi. He was in Taxi and Who's the Boss? And he was the subject of an Elton John
song. That's right.
Yeah. Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
It's a fact.
It's a fact. Patti LuPone, stage actress and singer. She's a Grammy and Tony winner. She played Norma Desmond in the London version of Sunset
Boulevard.
And she also played Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd, and Ava Perón in Evita.
She should have won a Tony for that. I don't know if she did or not, but she should have.
And Fantine in Les Miserables. Several movies and TV career. Lots of things. Just wonderful.
And an amazing voice.
Yep. Elaine May, actress and writer, and with Mike Nichols, they were an inspiration to Lily Tomlin and Steve Martin. They were a comedy duo for years and years and years. And she wrote the screenplay for Birdcage.
Oh, one of our favorites.
Yep. And then we have Facebook friend and former coworker, Tasca Hardison. Happy birthday, Tasca. And it's also Holocaust Remembrance Day on April 21st.
And with that, I would say if anybody, once this entire quarantine is up, if you ever should find yourself in Washington, D.C., by all means, please go to the Holocaust Museum. You will not regret it.
Yeah, and schedule just the entire day.
Take the entire day. You'll need it.
Yep, you will need it. April 22nd. Jack Nicholson, actor, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Shining.
My favorite Joker.
Yep. Did guest appearances in several on TV and several Roger Corman films.
I did.
Yeah.
Did I know that he was in a Roger Corman film?
Well, he was in the Roger Corman Little Shop of Horrors.
Ah, that's right. That's right. In fact,
several others.
I think he was actually the patient. Wait a minute. He was the patient to the dentist, if I remember right.
I don't recall. Was an office worker at Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, I didn't know that
before
either.
He made it big, and they offered him an animator position, but he turned it down to work on his acting career.
Well, look where it got him.
Childhood friend of Danny DeVito.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of his relatives and some of DeVito's relatives ran a laundry or a salon or something. I can't remember now.
Oh, I had no idea.
I wrote that. I just wrote it down and then forgot the rest of it. And actually, he didn't realize until 1975 in a Time article that his grandmother he had always thought was his mother, and his mother he thought was his older sister.
Oh, I might have heard that before.
Yep. It was fascinating. Glenn Campbell, singer, actor.
Arizona's own.
Arizona, Phoenician, was in True Grit. His hit Rhinestone Cowboy, and By the Time I Left Phoenix, and Galveston. Oh my gosh, he started out as a set musician. Or
That's
session
right.
musician.
He was with the Beach Boys for a time.
And the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour from 1969 to 72.
Which I did watch from time to time.
Yeah. Well, of course, I watched it because my parents watched it.
Of course they did.
You have one television in the house, And then we have Peter Frampton, musician, started out with Humble Pie and a couple of others. Frampton Comes Alive, his solo
that was the album that just completely
Yep.
sent him over the top. But something that I don't think a lot of people know, he was asked to actually come into the studio and work on one of George Harrison's solo albums.
Yep.
And I didn't know this. If you listen to the mega George Harrison hit "My Sweet Lord," that lead guitar line was not played by George. It was played by Peter.
Yep. And he worked with Ringo and Bowie and many, many others. Oh my God, he's just played with everybody.
And he invented that special, it's a voice box of sorts that he used with some of his songs. And Do You Feel the Way I Do, I think, is the one that he really made big use of it. That was his invention.
Interesting. John Waters, director, out gay man, grew up in Baltimore, where all of his films are set.
Imagine
of all
that.
Things. And childhood friend of Glenn Milstead, a.k.a.
Let me guess. Divine.
Yes. Cult films such as Pink Flamingos, Polyester, Cecil B. Demented.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't either.
I need to find that one now.
When I saw that, and I thought, oh, I got to see that
one. That's a title that says, I need to see this movie.
Exactly. And then Aaron Spelling, TV producer. He, at one time, bought the property where Bing Crosby's Los Angeles home was. It was like a 6-acre plot, and built this huge mansion. He was producer on Charlie's Angels, Dynasty, Love Boat, Beverly Hills 90210, Charmed,
Melrose Place.
Rented space on the Desilu Gower lot, which is now part of Paramount. We've been there
many times.
Isao Tomita, musician, early pioneer of electronic music, synthesizers, and even the Mellotron.
Oh.
Inspired by Wendy Carlos and Robert Moog to work with synthesizers.
I need to find this man's work now.
Oh my God. You never heard?
No.
Oh my God.
I have not heard this man's work.
His Firebird suite that he did?
No, I need to hear.
God.
Okay. It's on my list. I need to hear it.
Oh my God. And pictures at an exhibition and the planets.
Okay, you've converted me. I need to find this man's work now. I'll be looking on iTunes.
The Firebird, when it came out, is like, it was life-changing. He died,
Very well then.
He died in 2016 at 84. And then we have Facebook friend Greg Essenmacher. April 23rd, James Buchanan, president. I only put him on here.
Well, because there's a movie.
Because the movie Raising Buchanan is due out on May 5th. You can pre-order it on iTunes. And actually, the director's birthday was last week.
That's right.
And producer's birthday is this week sometime, or was last week also. So you can check out Raising Buchanan. Oh my gosh.
And watch Renee Auberjonois do this take on James Buchanan. I loved this movie. I can't wait to see it again.
Yep. Shirley Temple, actress, child star. She started her career at the age of 3.
I believe it.
Wow. And then she was 10 in The Little Princess with Arthur Treacher, which is one of my favorite of her films. It's just a delightful film. She was the U.S. ambassador to Czechoslovakia and was also the chief of protocol for the U.S. for a while, or something to that effect. Roy Orbison, musician, rockabilly, Traveling Wilburys with George Harrison, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne.
He was busy working in his career right up till the day he died. Yeah. And I question if he really died, because we saw somebody in Vegas who, I swear to God, was Roy Orbison.
Yep. And then we have Lee Majors, actor, $6 Million Man.
He's been a good boy this year.
Yeah, he's also in was that the Santa Claus? Yes.
No.
That was
Scrooged.
It was Scrooged. Yes.
You've been a good boy this year, Lee.
Yep. And Hervé Villechaize, actor.
Boss!
He was Knick Knack in The Man with the Golden Gun, Tattoo on Fantasy Island, The Plane. Sandra Dee, actress. She was in Gidget, A Summer Place, an episode of Night Gallery, and Fantasy Island. In 1965 was the last major star still under an exclusive contract, and that was to Universal.
Wow.
Yep, in 1965.
I thought they were all done with the contracts by then.
Exactly, yeah. Max Planck, theoretical physicist, originator of quantum theory. Interesting little thing. He stayed in Germany during the war and would have nothing to do with the Nazis.
I think a lot of scientists felt that way.
And his son was arrested in conjunction with the July 20th attempt on Hitler's life, which kind of spelled he had no reason to live after that. So it was, anyway, he died shortly after that. Then Sergei Prokofiev, composer.
One of my favorite of the early 20th century composers.
Yeah. He wrote an opera, Love of Three Oranges, which you watched because it was very strange.
Well, the production was very odd. Yeah. So I'm going to discount that. I'd like to... It was more of a video. I felt like I was watching a music video. And I didn't like that. I'd rather see an actual opera staging of that work in order to make a judgment. But I've heard his instrumental work, his symphonic work, is just amazing.
Yeah, the Lieutenant Kijé Suite, Romeo and Juliet.
His
Peter
Fifth Symphony is breathtaking, and he has a piano concerto which is featured in the Richard Dreyfuss movie, The Competition, that will make your hair stand up. It's so good.
And also in Fantasia 2000. There's a piano piece by him.
Prokofiev?
I believe so.
Oh, can't
And
remember that.
then he also wrote Alexander Nevsky.
Yes, which I loved. I got
You
to
sang,
sing that
yeah.
with Arizona Music Fest and really enjoyed it. Russian is so much fun to sing.
Yeah.
Not seriously. I mean, I really enjoy Russian and German were my two favorite languages to sing.
And then we have Facebook friend Michael Russo. April 24th, Barbara Streisand, singer, actress. What do you say?
What do you say?
Hello, Dolly. What's up, Doc? Funny Girl, Yentl. She and Neil Diamond had a smash hit in 1978.
You Don't Bring Me Flowers.
Do you know it was the first time that they had sung together since being in choir together at Erasmus High School in New York City?
No, I didn't know that. Oh, that's wonderful.
Exactly. And then we have Shirley MacLaine, actress, Steel Magnolias, That American in Downton Abbey, and celebrates her birthday jointly with Barbara Streisand each year.
And her older brother, or I think it's her older brother, is Warren Beatty.
Exactly. And she speaks Japanese fluently.
How did she come by that one?
I have no clue. Richard Donner, director, Superman, later Lady Hawk, The Goonies.
I have the really bizarre pleasure. I remember when we had gone up to New York the first time and we got to sit on the Frank DeCaro show. And I sat in the very chair that Richard Donner sat in the day before.
Wow.
Because Frank had interviewed... because we went in on the Frank DeCaro show on a Friday, and Richard Donner was there on a Thursday, and Frank said, "Oh, you're sitting in Richard Donner's seat," and then he proceeded to tell me all about the things they talked about.
Yep.
It was wonderful.
He was also a TV director for a number of things. He did 7 episodes of the Banana Splits Adventure Hour in 1970.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, I love the
exactly.
Banana Splits.
Nice little trivia there.
Yeah.
Eric Kripke, writer, Supernatural, Timeless. He also wrote House with a Clock in Its Walls.
Oh, okay. Well, A, you had me at Timeless, but B, House with a Clock in Its Walls. I so love that movie.
Interesting little tidbit. He's a huge fan of Hellblazer comics. He created the character of Castile on Supernatural when he found out he couldn't feature Constantine.
No kidding.
That character's wardrobe or his costume
It's modeled
mirrors
right after
exactly.
Constantine. It is. The
Yep.
trench coat, the whole bit.
Exactly. And then we have our niece, Laura Lee C., and friend of ours, Eric Elick, and Marianne Asanuma. April 25th, Hank Azaria, actor, Birdcage, Simpsons,
A big-time voice actor.
Spider-Man, the animated series as Venom, and says that he has voiced over 100 voices for The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. Ella Fitzgerald.
Oh, what?
Wow,
What
singer.
do you say about her?
First Lady of Song, Queen of Jazz. Her Gershwin songbook is just one of my favorites. She also did the Cole Porter and Duke Ellington songbooks. A wonderful scat singer.
I know that, yeah, a lot of people probably now remember her for the scat singing, but if you go further back in
Oh my
her
gosh.
career,
She was
I mean,
just incredible.
she was a crooner.
Yep.
Seriously, I mean, her voice was like velvet.
Yep.
I mean, I know everybody says that about Mel Torme, but she and Mel Torme were like contemporaries. But you listen to her earlier stuff, and the voice is just unbelievable.
Yep. Renee Zellweger, actress, Chicago. In Judy, she did a fabulous.
She won the Academy.
Oh my God, just was fabulous.
I
as Judy
forgot
Garland.
that I was watching Renee Zellweger and thought I was watching Judy Garland.
Yep. Her parents met on a ship crossing to the U.S.
That's right. I remember that.
Bjorn Ulvaeus, singer, Mr. ABBA
Yeah,
himself.
he's one half of one quarter. What am I saying? He's one half of the men of ABBA.
Exactly. Meadowlark Lemon, basketball player, Harlem Globetrotters. He sat right next to me.
That's right.
When they came to Muskogee, and we were in the Civic Center, and my dad had gotten tickets right on courtside, and he sat down right next to me.
Totally cool.
During the halftime. Interesting. It was just fascinating. Then we have Ron Clements, animator and director, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Treasure Planet, Princess and the Frog, and Moana. He usually directs with John Musker. The two of them are just incredible.
They cranked out they helped revitalize the entire Disney animation studio and ushered in a new golden era.
Exactly. Ron and John were put in charge of The Great Mouse Detective, and they had never had any experience directing before.
And we just saw it the other day. I rather liked
film.
it. I thought it was a very good movie.
Yep. He always puts a caricature of himself in his films.
Oh, gotta look now.
Yep. Peter Jurasik, actor.
Londo.
Tron.
Yes.
Babylon 5. Best friends with Andrea Koutoulas. So it never took them more than a few takes to get their scenes right when they were doing scenes together.
I don't deny that. And, of course, there's a great bit. Well, it's a little anecdote that anytime Peter needed to get into character and was having trouble getting the dialect, all he had to do was say, Mr. Garibaldi. And that did it. He had the voice back.
Yep. Interesting thing is, during the long hours of filming, he and Andreas would improvise between takes. One time, they did an infomercial.
No, in costume?
In costume.
I need to see it.
And full prosthetics for the Book of Jakar.
Oh, my God. There needs to be a video of this somewhere.
Exactly.
I would die to see this. Who's holding on to that? Someone must have filmed it.
I don't know. I wish that they had. And let's see. The 26th, William Shakespeare.
The Bard.
1564 to 1616. Britain's national poet. My parents had a number of different... It was a whole set of books, and the collected works of William Shakespeare was this tome. Mm-hmm. It was the biggest one, and it sat right in the middle. It was unbelievable. Wrote a tremendous number of pieces. Carol Burnett, comedian. She's 86. The Carol Burnett Show on CBS was the first of its kind to be helmed by a woman in 1967. Went to Hollywood High School.
Of course.
And she was actually an usherette at the Warner Movie Theater, now the Pacific, where she told a couple that came in just right after Strangers on a Train, Hitchcock's movie, that they should wait till the next film because it needed to be seen from beginning to end.
Indeed.
The manager overheard her and fired her on the spot.
Wow.
And did the unthinkable, tore the epaulets off of her shoulders. So when her star came up, they asked her where she wanted it to be.
In front of that theater.
In front of that theater.
Of course she did.
Exactly. Tom Welling, actor, Smallville, Lucifer, once witnessed a woman being mugged and fought off the attackers. The woman looked up at him and said, "You really are Superman," to which he laughed.
Yes.
I.M. Pei, architect. He died last year at the age of 102.
Wow.
Was married to his wife for 70 years. And most famous for a lot of things, but the pyramid at the Louvre. And then we have my uncle, Jim O'Neill, and Scotty Roughgarden, we've spoken to, and J. Scott Coatsworth, a wonderful author. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad?
Not me.
That's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Okay, we got some feedback here. I'm actually going to
Just go ahead.
I really? Okay, because we got quite a bit.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, starting off with regarding Hamish Downey's 5 questions with Neil R. Belshaw. Now, I included this for one very simple reason. People, we are not the only ones who interview other writers and actors and authors. We're not the only ones who do the interviews. Hamish Downey does written interviews as well.
He does some great
interviews. He calls those his 5 questions, and you can find those at our website at tggeeks.com, usually on Fridays. So that's another reason why you need to be going to our website on a daily basis. Anyway, he interviewed a Neil R. Belshaw, who directed An Honest Witness. And we actually got this comment from An Honest Witness Does Not Deceive. And they said, the director of An Honest Witness was interviewed by Hamish Downey for TG Squared Studios, where he talks about writing, filmmaking, coming to Japan, and how his dyslexia affects both. And then we got a comment from Neil R. Belshaw himself, and he says, it was a real pleasure. Keep putting out the good content. Yay. Then moving on, this is regarding episode 264. We got a comment from Arkle. And I don't exactly... okay. Somehow the conversation of Tolkien came up, I guess. And he said, the Silmarillion was mentioned in the show, and that reminds me of my favorite moment from the DVD commentary of the extended cut of Fellowship of the Ring. Peter Jackson, his wife, and their co-producer of the films were talking, and the co-producer asked Peter how he got the sound for the Nazguls, and he quipped, I took a tape recorder and told my wife I bought the film rights to the Silmarillion. Laugh out loud. He then goes on to say, I would advise against watching Charmed. I think he means the reboot.
We talked about rewatching it.
Yeah, well, I think he's talking about the reboot. He said, just watch Alison Pregler's season-by-season breakdowns of it on her channel instead. You'd be better off, trust me. And I say this as someone who watched Charm from beginning to end, twice. Not sure why my taste in television got so bad in the early outs. I was the kid who loved watching Twin Peaks when he was only 8. Going from Twin Peaks to Charmed is like passing up a chance to live on a Mars colony to stay at a Motel 6 in Missouri. Tell us what you really think.
Exactly.
And then this is regarding episode 265. Hey, it's Arkle again. So he says, so basically, Marriage of Inconvenience, this is the TV series that's going to be on Deku with Jason Gaffney.
Yep.
He says, so Marriage of Inconvenience is a live-action odd couple AU/fic. I've heard worse ideas. Heck, I've written worse ideas. And then lastly, regarding episode 266, got a comment from Anime Who Review Channel. And they wrote, and I'm gonna quote it exactly the way they wrote it. Watch one good film a day. What makes you happy to handle what makes you happy?
Exactly. And I want to throw in a comment here because I received this personal message from Pia Thrasher about several of our TG Geeks webcast episodes. Pia thanked us for being her companions while painting a room, and she said she enjoys the birthday section and the trivia. And I had just, like several days before she sent that, had been bemoaning the fact of whether the birthday section was of any value or not.
Well, someone likes it.
I put a lot of extra trivia in this time as we are running over time at the moment. But thank you, Pia, for that, and we'll continue with the odd little trivia. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, let us know. You can leave a comment about anything that we produce, whether it's our episodes or any article, and you can leave those comments on our Facebook page or at tggeeks.com, on our YouTube episodes, and you can also comment on Twitter and Instagram. We also have a listener feedback line when you can call or leave us a voicemail message, and we'll play that on air. Call 469-TG-GEEKS, that is 469-844-3357, and as always, please play nice. We just want to give a shout out to independent creators. Please, during this quarantine and isolation period, please visit all of these independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Visit their websites. Find out where you can find more about them. Buy their stuff. Tell people about their stuff. And
check out. You can also check out like Indiegogo, Kickstarter. You just peruse to see if there's any independent creator there that you might want to support.
Exactly, and please support independent creators. As always, we want to give a shout out to the Joshua Tree Feeding Program, a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV/AIDS community. They could really use your help right now. Please consider supporting Joshua Tree either through a single or a monthly recurring gift. Go to jtfp.org. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone. We're going to be like Monty Python and the Holy Grail and skip the second segment right into the weekly recap.
Yeah, because we have to get on with it. Starting with Sunday, April 12th, Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician number 96, closing in on 100. On Monday the 13th, TG Geeks episode number 269. On Tuesday, April 14th, Breaking Glass Pictures to release Fairy Tale on May 12th. Check that one out. It's really weird. I love it. On Wednesday, the 15th, Natalie Wood, What Remains Behind, an intimate portrait of the Hollywood icon, debuts May 5th on HBO. On Thursday, the 16th, The Wolfman, The Mummy, They Live, Apparel, available now at friedrags.com. Also, Andrea's Angle, she has a review for the movie Scylla and the Spades, intense themes, extraordinary acting. On Friday the 17th, new sushi number 98, morsels of news from Japan and beyond.
Also closing in on 100.
And on Saturday the 18th, discovering your passion project in quarantine. This is a PSA from good friend of the show, Mark Ross. We will have the links for each of these articles in the show notes for this episode at our website, tggeeks.com. Have to give some shout-outs first to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News for republishing some of our content from time to time. That is put up by the Human Arkle. You heard some feedback from him earlier in this episode. He is Brian Weber. You find the Post-Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter. Do that by searching for Arkle, at ARKLE. And speaking of Arkle, he has the Shameless Cash Grab. He's in Season 4, and he's done Episode 3 of The Killing Machine. He's already started that. You can find him by going to youtube.com/Arkle Studios, all one word. And then we must give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for also allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours. Big thanks to the moderators for literally allowing us to share away our content. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours, all one word. And then to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our stuff on their page. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And as always, special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays and listen to their other content. They are a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can listen to our episode while you surf the internet. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links of things we talked about on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and others. Stay home and stay safe. Peace.
Cheers.